Hey, welcome to Craft Conversations, where I craft a conversation and I talk a little bit sometimes about craft beer, but on this episode we talked about craft kombucha. Today I sit down with Bri Wertman. She's locally here in town, originally from Philadelphia. We'll get into all that. You can listen to the episode. We did a Facebook Live, and that was the first time I've really done that, and working with some new equipment. So there was a couple issues, but you know what? We had a fantastic time. She's a fantastic person, a fantastic musician, has a fantastic message, and I hope you enjoy her episode. Go ahead and say something real quick.
Say something. Check. 1, 2.
Yeah, pull your mic in a little bit more. I'm pretty boisterous and I have
I'm
a big voice.
Boisterous. I do talk. Well, when I sing, I'm loud, so I'll back up more. But this is about my voice volume. Is this good? Or should I pull it closer?
Maybe just a tad bit closer, because that's about how far I keep mine away.
How's this?
That probably is a little better.
Is this better? You can hear me?
Yeah.
I sound
and I'll adjust mine back and forth based on what your volume is doing. But.
Cool.
All right, we're going to press the live button here on, we're already recording here, but I'm going to press the live button here.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. All right, I guess we are live.
We are live.
I think, this thing doesn't really tell me if I'm actually live or not, but we're going to assume, and I'm going to, if we're not, it's recording anyway, so I'm going to post it sometime and everybody will see it eventually. But
cool beans. What will be, will be.
What will be, will be.
I am open.
I'm sitting here with Bri Wertman.
Wertman. Yes.
W-E-R-T.
W-E-R-T.
God damn it, I think I spelled it wrong on the thing over here.
No, you're fine.
No, I didn't. I got it right. I got it right. Yeah, I'm going to put it up right now.
Worthy man.
Just to prove to everybody that I got it right. Bri Wertman. Right there.
Means worthy man in German.
That's what it means?
It does. I'm a worthy woe man.
Okay. So I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. If it was Wertman or if it was Wertman.
People used to make fun of me when I was a kid all the time, and they would call me Wortman or
I'm sure.
or Warthog or whatever, and it did wonders for my self-esteem.
And
shout out to those middle school bullies.
Right, forget those guys or girls, whoever it was. I don't know.
Everybody.
Could be everybody. So where does Bri come from? Is that short for something?
Actually, so funny story. I was homeschooled up until 4th grade. That wasn't so funny. That sucked. But whenever I went into public school, people just naturally started calling me Bri, and I was always Brianna to my whole family. That's my full name. I actually go by my middle name. My first name's Hava.
Okay.
And which is Hebrew, which doesn't really make very much sense because I'm not Jewish. But my parents like the meaning. It means life, and so my mom agreed to that being my first name. If everyone would call me Brianna. So my biological father, who's no longer in my life, he agreed. And so whenever I went into school, he kind of tricked me into using Hava as my name because he was like, you'll be unique and like no one else has that name.
Right.
But then I kind of was like, call me Brianna or else we're going to have some problems. And then people shortened it to Bri, and I was like, Bri, I kind of like that. So now the only time I'm called Brianna is whenever my mom's mad at me. It's Brianna.
Right.
So
the funny thing is I've got a pseudo Facebook page out there on Facebook that is a pseudo girlfriend of mine named Brianna Dallas. Instead of Brian Dales, it's Brianna Dallas, or her name's Brianna. And it's really just me as a girl, but it's hilarious. I think that's funny that your name is actually Brianna.
Or is it like doctored up? Like, do you look like a girl? Like you have like
it was some kind of Snapchat filter. Yeah, that changed you into a female, and it worked out perfectly. And a lot of people fell for it. I actually put it out there as a real page initially. And people fell for it. I made up a whole story. I did a whole podcast on it for about a 15-minute podcast where this girl, Brianna, came out of the woodworks and was an old girlfriend of mine that I apparently had a baby with. So she came out of the woodworks and wanted me to pay child support and all those things. So I made up a whole life around it, and it was kind of funny.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It was pretty funny, really.
I mean, you must have had a lot of time on your hands.
Well, I do. I'm retired, right? You just looked
at
the thing.
I saw that. So yes.
I have a lot of time on my hands actually. But before we go any further, because I know you're thirsty and you wanted the water, we're going to get you a kombucha.
Kombucha.
And myself, because we don't, you don't drink alcohol at the moment. Or maybe not at the moment, maybe ever again, but...
the goal is never again.
We'll talk about that.
Yes, indeedy.
So you wanted the
turmeric
trio, right?
Yeah.
So this is your guy.
One Love Kombucha, shout out.
Yeah, this is One Love Kombucha. So we're not drinking a craft beer today on the show, but we are drinking craft kombucha, which is made right here in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Let's see if I can show these guys. So this is the One Love Kombucha Turmeric Trio. And
tastes like health.
yeah, I'll talk about what's in that guy here in a second. I am going to drink, I think, the hibiscus ginger.
That's my favorite one by them.
Is it? You want me to save that to share? No?
You're good, because I want to try that.
Yeah, I got the other one, the
yeah,
lavender.
we'll share the lavender one.
Okay.
Well, because I was telling you that right before we started, I discovered One Love Kombucha at the Poorhouse Sunday Brunch Farmers Market. And I picked up, when I was trying to quit drinking on my own, I was like, maybe this will be a good substitute. It's fizzly and tastes kind of funny. But in a good way.
Right. And did it? I mean, I guess it does. It's a good substitute.
It is a good... Well, I don't really use it as a substitute. It's... Now, back then, that's what I was kind of thinking of it as. Now it's like, I want to only drink things that are, like, healthy for me. Like, I was never really into drinking soda. I only wanted to drink things that would either change my mind state or, like, be good for my body.
Right.
So I'm big into water, kombucha, of course, smoothies, you know. Yeah, stuff like that. And then whenever I drank alcohol, I liked whiskey. I was really big into green tea shots. But I wasn't really into beer. I was a wine drinker. That was my thing. Wine and liquor.
So, well, first off, let's toast to, I'm not sober, but I'm going to toast to sobriety.
Thank you.
And your sobriety. And One Love Kombucha. We're going to talk about that here in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But first, I want to ask you, why did you go into sobriety? I mean, is that something you talk about often? Is it something you keep to yourself? Do you like to share it? Do you like to try and promote it? I mean, what's going on with that?
So, we say it's attraction rather than promotion. I'm obviously for anyone who wants to get healthy and get better. Like, I'm here, like, I'm around, I'm open to talk and share my story and, like, what I've experienced and the hope that I have now. But I come from a family that really likes to drink. And I, grew up around it, like seeing it, it's a rite of passage and everything. And I was a late bloomer, actually. I didn't drink until I was 16.
What do you mean by a rite of passage? I mean,
that's what the adults did. Like, that was their thing. Like, my family would get together and, like, it's the social lubricant. When you go to bars, like, in, like, how this podcast started, you sit down and you talk to somebody and, like, you get a conversation going and you may be friends for 5 minutes or for an hour or so, but, like, you get to know a person a little bit.
Right.
That way. But, I wanted to, be a big kid and join in on the fun, and it was kind of hard growing up in my house because my mom she is in recovery at the moment, but at the time she was not, and it was kind of like if you can't beat them, join them kind of deal. But my first time I drank, though, is a funny story. We called it Snowmageddon. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
That was going to be one of my questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Pittsburgh, and we had Snowmageddon in the winter of 2010. And oh my goodness. We got, my friend and I asked my mom for permission if we could drink. And so they poured us drinks, they poured them drinks. And I was like, damn. And because I had sips of wine, but that was it. And then my first drunk, I hated it. Some people who are alcoholics will be like, I knew it was the answer. For me, I was like, fuck this. Yeah. Like, I ended up face first, passed out in a love sack, which is a beanbag chair. I don't know if you guys know about that, but Yeah, and I just remember the world spinning, and I was like, I hate this. But then I started smoking weed, and then that was my answer. Like, for me, at the time, I was like, the weed is my saving grace.
Right.
And I have some mental health diagnoses that I let, like, define me for quite some time, and that helped me with those. And I had such bad anxiety I couldn't eat, so it helped me eat, and I had insomnia, so it helped me sleep, and all of that. And it is really good, and I'm all for it, and like, I'm for legalization, I'm for all of that, because for some people it works. Just for me personally, I had to learn that it makes me not the best version of myself, and kind of one is connected to another, which is connected to cocaine. And then whenever you start that, life really gets wild.
Right.
So I decided, I was actually, a friend of mine noticed that I was using cocaine more and more, and I was drinking and I was smoking weed, and she was in recovery, and this is when I lived in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I was the activities director for a retirement home. I went to school to be a music therapist, and so I was doing that in a retirement home. But I was so burnt out, and it was a really tough job, and I coped the best way that I could. You always just do the best you can, you know? And so at night, my roommate and I, we would watch Big Brother. Like, that was, like, our tradition. Like, we'd sit and watch Big Brother and do some Coke and drink rum and Coke. And we were like, it's Coke night. You know, whatever. But then it got worse and worse. And then at 3 a.m., I'm like, let's call up the drug dealer. And then my friend, she saw this, and she forced me or coerced me into going to rehab, which was 6 of the most eye-opening months of my life. It was really great therapy, and I was like the star pupil, and like people really thought I had it. But then I went back out because I convinced myself that I was missing out, and I have had this terrible fear of missing out. And I became a beach bartender and a server after that, and I used with numerous people who I went to rehab with, and it just became this really ugly version of myself that I didn't recognize anymore. And I was serving, drinking on the job, smoking on the job, taking bathroom breaks to go do a line or two or whatever, and then staying out all night. And it was really scary. And so my grandfather found me one day, because he lives in Florida, and he knocked on my door at 9 a.m. and I was passed out on the couch, and he saw me in a really not good way. And he said, okay, we're sending you up to live with your parents in Pittsburgh. So I moved to Pittsburgh.
And when was this? How old were you?
This was a year and a half ago. So I was 24 whenever I went into rehab. I turned 25 when I was an intensive outpatient.
Okay.
And I'm 26 now. I'll be 27 September 30th. Libra. Whoop whoop. But I moved to Pittsburgh August of 18, I suppose it was. Yeah, August of 18. And I lived there for 8 months. And I was using less, but I was still using. Was
that just because of the environment, or was that just availability? You didn't know anybody when you moved back? I mean, why?
I didn't know anybody when I moved back. You know, it's crazy because my best friends from high school, they'd all moved away for the most part. And my brother's drinking buddies from high school were still there. So right. I kind of became friends with my little brother, his drinking buddies. So they're 3 years younger than me. And through them, I started seeing a girl who was inviting me out to hang out with her and her friends. And then I'm pretty fluid. I'm bisexual. And so I was out with her, but then there was a guy who was out with us one night who I became friends with, and he, you know, asked me out on a date, and I thought he was out with this other girl, but I was like, I guess not. They must just be friends. And so I was like, hey, cute guy. And so I started hanging out with this dude, and then turns out, oh, here's my source. I found it again, but I wasn't looking, you know? And
do you think that's, do you think there's some sort of attraction there?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. You can smell it, you can sense it, you can feel it. What?
Well, manifestation. You attract what you believe you deserve, and I guess what you truly desire, what you feel you need. And I was dealing with a very stressful situation whenever I moved home. And I hadn't lived at home since I was 17, because I graduated high school. I was pretty young. I was still 17 when I graduated high school and I went to Temple University in Philly. Okay. Go Owls. Go Owls, man. But I started hanging out with the wrong crowd, basically, is what happened. I found the wrong crowd found me. Whichever way, I ended up pretty pathetic and slapping myself in the face to get home, to stay awake, being so messed up, like after going out downtown, and I'd have a half an hour drive home, and I am so freaking lucky not to have a criminal record.
Right. I feel that.
I like, literally, I'm driving with my nose like a grandma on the wheel, and I'm just like, follow the car behind you, follow the light. Yeah. Wrong light. No.
Yeah, the one in the middle. Yeah.
And so I'm very, very blessed that I did not get into any trouble except for getting kicked out of a bar in Florida. That was the worst. The trouble was really just what I put myself and my family and some friends through, right. Who really wanted the best for me. But I really did. I did some damage really to myself, and I played the victim, if you will. I was like, you did this to me, and you did this to me, and you did this to me, and so this is who I am now. Like, it's your fault.
What do you think, like, from Philadelphia to Florida to here to wherever else you may have been throughout your lifetime, what do you think the biggest problem is? Do you think there's a definite, well...
I'm the biggest problem.
You're the biggest problem? So you don't think it has anything to do with location or what's going on in that particular city, or... Environment
definitely has something to do with it. Like I said, things growing up at home were not easy. My biological father was a very abusive, terrible individual. So growing up, I had PTSD at a very young age. And then, it was hard. Like, I had to kind of parent a parent, and that was hard for me. But everyone's always doing the best they can, and I want to highlight that, because that really is true. Like, my mom and my stepdad, they're always doing the best that they could, and they're doing so much better now, and I'm so proud of them. But that was really hard for me in high school, in moving back home during that period of time in between Florida and here. That was really a hard time, but not just because of them. I was also working in sales, standing in the middle of a grocery store selling clean energy, but really just ripping people off. And it made me vomit literally in the morning. I would throw up because of my use and because I felt so sick and anxious, and some coworkers did some not so okay stuff to me. And the company I worked for was so shady, and they would take us out and party with us and all of this. It was just not good. But anyway, so there's always something. Like, I would always attract or find the worst possible thing or people for me, and I would just try to fill the holes, I became I say I'm the biggest problem, because no matter where I go, there I am.
Yeah.
And they say that addiction, it's a spiritual sickness. Like, it's this is not this, but alcohol is just a symptom, like alcoholism, and like sex addiction, which I consider myself, like, I'm addicted to people, to love. Like, anything that makes me feel good, that makes me feel better, that takes me out of this thing that's constantly swirling in my head, I clung to. Right. And I clung to people. I clung to things, substances, and it just led me to nothing but pain and sorrow. And getting kicked out of college didn't help either. And that's why I was kind of like, go Owls. Because, you know, like, I had completed 4 years of college, and I was over halfway done with my post-grad internship, working in a mental health hospital in Camden, New Jersey. And then some really bad stuff was going on in my life, and my alcoholism was really starting to rear its head really rear its head. And I was drinking pretty hard with some coworkers after work and whatnot. And I would show up late a few days a week by like 5 minutes, but still, you know, and they were like, basically all of this together, you're not mentally stable enough to be a therapist. Sorry, we did you a disservice by allowing you to continue in this program for 4 years. You have such a beautiful voice. You should just be a singer.
Oh, really?
And I was like, fuck you! Like, it was, like, that was, obviously, it's still there. You know, it's a resentment I'm really trying to let go, because I'm grateful that happened, because I wouldn't be sitting here with you now had it not.
Right.
I wouldn't have, and I came to Charleston because one of my close friends from college lives here, and he took me in and let me live with him for free for like 8 months, and my dog and my cat, and he hates animals. And he was like, we'll have a band together, which we do have a band. It's called The Mood. Check us out. Mood with a D. And he was like,
what else would it be with? Mood with a D.
Or Moon, as sometimes
people
think
I say. Yeah,
Mood.
Like, we
are the mood. The mood. We bring the mood.
I guess.
You know? And so, but, you know, when I came here, I wasn't sober. It took me 6 months to find my way to where I needed to be. And I stayed away from cocaine for a while, but I couldn't put down the alcohol, and I couldn't put down the weed, and I was smoking day and night, and it was just my baseline.
Right.
And then, you know, I put this guy through so much, but he stayed my best friend through thick and thin. I mean, he punched a hole in the damn wall over some of my bullshit. Like, I caused him harm. Right. Through my actions.
Well, you know, we're talking a lot about locations. We're talking a lot about people and college and all these different influences and stuff, people you worked with, your roommate. But, I mean, sometimes even parents are a problem, right? I mean, most parents, when they have a kid, they're just kids themselves. I mean, I remember I'm 19 when I had my first child.
Really? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not even grown myself, and I'm supposed to be raising a child. So do you think... How old were your parents when they had you? Do you know?
My mom...
I guess you do.
I do, yeah. Well, my mom... my grandparents were also 19 when they had my mom. And I'm very blessed to have young grandparents. It's really cool because they're in their early 70s and they are very active. My mom, she's had me when she was 25 or 26. She got pregnant when she was 25.
Which is kind of what people are leaning more towards, right? They're late 20s, 30s, or whatever at this point.
Yeah, but she had gone through a lot too. She had been through a lot of trauma in college and a lot of uncertainty and she was an alcoholic at that time as well, but she also was struggling with an eating disorder. And my biological father, he basically convinced her. It's I don't want to tell too much of my mom's business. Basically, I was an oopsie baby. I was not supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to be here, but I saved my mom's life. Okay. Because she stopped being bulimic and stopped drinking for my sake. Right. Because she's like, I'm having this baby. And so she had no idea what she was doing, and she was with a narcissistic sociopath. He's a diagnosed, he's narcissistic antisocial personality disorder. Okay. And so growing up with that for 9 years was not easy. But she stayed pregnant basically, or breastfeeding, for the duration of the time she was with him. Like, she breastfed me for a long time. I was like 2. And so, like, maybe that's why I have problems. No, but, and then she had my brother when I was 3. And then she had my sister when I was 6.5. And so then she left my biological dad whenever I was 9. And so my sister was like 2.5 when she left him. And that was really what sent her into her alcoholism, was the terrifying fear of losing her kids in a custody battle against a monster. And that was traumatic for all of us, you know, but she is so strong and has this huge heart and is so loving. And I get so much good from her, as much as like genetics and whatever that's kind of bad, you know, but I'm grateful to be an alcoholic because it's brought me to where I am, and it's made me look at myself. And it's made me heal myself. I never knew what self-love was. I always needed outside validation. Still working on that. Social media doesn't help. But I think we all kind of struggle with that a little bit. You know, that social media validation and stuff.
Right.
But...
Well, when you say you're healing, and I kind of want to go back to your roommate for a second, too,
sure.
because I feel like I cut you off on what you're talking about your roommate. But speaking of healing, I mean, that's kind of why we're sitting here a little bit, right? For music. Music has helped you heal.
It has, absolutely. So my music journey, my entire childhood, that was my saving grace. My grandparents also very much, my grandfather in particular, was like my saving grace. Like they figured out I could sing when I was like 2.
Did anybody else do anything musically in the family?
No, not a single person, except for my great-grandmother, my grandma's mom, who she was actually the runner-up for Miss America back in the 1940s.
Really?
She was Miss Florida.
Okay.
And she's from Miami.
And she had to have a talent, right? Back then, they did
and she was a singer,
thing,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And she was an opera singer, and I became an opera singer. And musical theater was my life. So my family, they figured out, Bri can sing. That is her thing. And let's do it. So thankfully, like, even though I was in the super abusive, terrible environment, I was in dance classes from the age of 3. I was in acting classes. I was in singing voice lessons whenever I was old enough to do that. I was in acting lessons. I think I said that.
No church or anything like that?
Church, oh my goodness. Yeah, religion plays a real big part in my story. So yeah. I was raised Pentecostal. And very my mom is very, she's very much the Christian fundamentalist, and so having a God of my own understanding is something that we kind of don't jive with, because for a while I hated God.
Yeah, but I mean there was a big
it was
religious
a big part of my
upbringing?
life. Oh yeah, it
Okay.
was like we kneeled and prayed at bed, like before we went to sleep. We went to church most Sundays. I was on worship team. I was a youth group leader.
Yeah.
I think that's what kept me on the straight and narrow for so many years. You know, up through high school, like doing mission trips. Or I went on one mission trip, and whenever I was 16, and that was like really awesome and eye-opening. I went to Atlanta, and that was my first time ever going there. And it's a really cool city. Shout out to Atlanta. But
I would beg to differ, but okay.
Well, I mean, I was only there. I went on hurrication there.
Okay.
Or evacuation, whatever you call it, from the last hurricane that we had last fall.
Yeah.
Whenever they scared the shit out of us, and then it was nothing.
Yeah.
Which is typical. So.
Well, you say the religion kept you on the straight and narrow. So do you feel like that helped you tip off the straight and narrow, or did religion play any part of you falling off or falling into the wagon, off the wagon, whatever happens with the wagon? But
yeah, the wagon,
yeah.
The wagon. It's a hard. The wagon. It's also a boat. Is what I realized. It's recovery is like a boat, and you got to be in the middle of it, or you can fall right off the edge. And
okay, that's a good analogy.
That is, and I was not in the middle of the boat my first time around. When I first came in...
You're like Leo on the front, just hanging off the,
the
front.
Oh! Never let go.
Yeah.
And so... Oh, God. What was I saying? Shoot, I forgot.
You're talking about being in the boat.
Being in the boat. Yeah. Being in the middle of the boat. That's it. But religion. Yes. I believed, like... I was like, I was really conservative whenever I was brought up. Like gays go to hell, this, that, and the other, all of this. But then I tried to come out when I was 12. And my mom was like, it's just a phase, you're just curious. And then it wasn't. And so, and then when I was 16, I like told my boyfriend, like he was the first person I came out to, my high school sweetheart who I was with for 3.5 years, into college. And I told him, and then I started to tell some other people, but I didn't really fully come out until I was about 20. Well, honestly, like publicly, because I was really afraid for some family to know. I didn't come out until about 2 years ago. But most people knew by the time I was like 21, because I had a serious relationship with a woman whenever I was 20. And so my first serious relationship, which, man, fucked me up big time. But religion, I had a lot of shame of who I was. And when I came out, originally I was told I was going to hell. And that was really hard to hear.
So you're talking about just sexually who you were?
Yeah, like
okay.
I not just in general, who I was becoming. Because I went to a liberal arts college, and everything. And so I was getting my own beliefs. And as I got my own beliefs and my own thoughts and all of that, excuse me, kombucha burp. Ooh.
Yeah, I don't normally drink it, that carbonation.
But as I grew up and I started to come up with my own thoughts and my ideas and stuff, like my family, who's super conservative and waspy, they were like, oh no, who is this gay hippie child? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we popped out. Like, we still love you, but oh no. And they're like, it's just because she's young. That's why she thinks that way. But I'm still liberal. I'm still, I
mean, some could say you're still young, but
and I am still young. It is true.
Yeah.
They're like, she'll learn as she gets
right.
older.
She'll grow out of it. Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I believe in people, social justice, and all that. So, but
yeah,
I.
There's so much we could go off on that right now, but yeah,
part of
I really don't want this show to be anything about that, unless you want to. But
no, I will say this. I believe that the answer to everything is love and acceptance.
Sure. It's gotta be.
But there's violence isn't the answer. Something's gotta change. But people, that requires people opening their ears and their hearts. And I am a little cynical of of the extremists on either side.
Sure.
Doing that, and that's what's really difficult. But I know that love and acceptance, that could heal the world. But we are perfectly imperfect people, and some people don't listen to logic. Some people think that their truth is the only truth. Some people, there's no wiggle room. But that's part of my most recent song that I wrote that I will be playing eventually. Is it kind of, I say every soul matters, and you can't change my mind about that. So
yeah, and I'm guilty of that as well, and I think we all are guilty. But I think the people that are going to thrive and the way that this world's going to move forward is people that can like you said, listen to other people and change their mind, and not necessarily that your mind has to change, but you've got to be able to be tolerant to other people's views, I guess, is the big thing. Not really change your mind, but don't worry about what somebody else is doing, because that's their mind. That's what they're thinking about, So we can all get along. We can all live. Now, there's a bunch of ideas that, God damn it, I said I wasn't going to get into any of this stuff. But
it's hard not to whenever all this...
There's a bunch of ideas we can't agree on, but there's always a middle ground. Always. There's got to be a middle ground that people can stand on, and we can all get along and
when you yell at somebody... Well, yeah, when you're yelling and screaming at someone, people's ears close.
Yeah. And
people they're not going to listen to yelling and screaming. And so it's, people trying to protest peacefully. Like, I know personally, like, I order off, I love Rihanna's line of lingerie, the Savage X Fenty. And so they had Blackout Tuesday. And so they, like, closed their whole business down for awareness of everything that's happening, and saying, like, donate to, like, this cause, instead of shopping here today.
Okay.
And so, like, you know, little things like that, you know, are really, I think, it's hard. It's also, like, I'm no expert in anything, you know. I'm trying to become, I'm on the road to becoming a healer. So we were talking about me, like, healing, you know, and trying to heal myself. Working my program has been a huge part of that, my healing, and having a really great mentor and really great friends that I surround myself with who unconditionally accept me for who I am. But also I started studying Reiki, which is energy healing. And I'm really into crystals and all of that stuff. And so I did my level 1 Reiki training during quarantine. And I said I would, like, use the quarantine time I had to better myself. And so I worked on... There was some times that I was down in a deep hole of depression because, I mean, being isolated, it's hard for me. I'm a talker, if you can't tell. And
no.
And so it was, but also at the same time, I do isolate. Like, I can only take so much social interaction because it drains me. I'm an extroverted introvert. And
I like it.
Yeah. But I did my Reiki class level 1, which is where you learn how to work with yourself. And level 2 is what I'm waiting to do later this month, where I can work with others. And I have practiced on some people, one of which being Corey, a friend of mine. And
so when you talk about working your program, this is the Reiki is what you're talking about, or is the program something different?
The program is something I'm not going to name specifically.
So Reiki is something different. Okay.
Reiki has become part of my program. Like, right. The program, we'll just say program is everything I'm doing to become a centered.
Right. Whether it be an actual program or meditation or sauna, whatever.
Absolutely.
The gym. All that.
I pray every morning. I ask for God's will to be done with my life. So
religion is still a part of your life.
It is now. Okay. So to get back to that, yeah. Religion.
We'll bounce all over the place.
Yeah, it happens. I kind of stopped believing in God in between rehab and coming back into recovery. So for about 1.5 years, I was mad at a God I wasn't even sure I believed in. I was mad at the God that my parents worshipped. And that wasn't the God of my understanding. And so...
at the time it was, I
guess. It was, yeah. And I was like, and I don't like this one. And if this is the God, if this is the be-all, end-all God, I don't want any parts of it because he's a dickhead. And so I was upset. I was really upset. And
but you did say he's a dickhead.
What?
You said he. So you thought he was a he?
Yes, yeah. He was a he. He was a he to me.
Okay.
At the time. Now so whenever I started my recovery journey, it was September 28th. I celebrated, quote unquote, my birthday, which was the 30th. The best way I knew how.
Of September?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I celebrated it the best way I knew how on the 27th, and it was I hadn't partaken in cocaine in about 5 months, and I did it twice that week, and I ended up in a really messed up situation, and it was really eye-opening, we'll just say that, and I saw what my future could be if I were to continue down this road, and I was like, I can't do this, it's time. And so I met an amazing, wonderful person who helped guide me back to where I belonged. And I finally found the sense of belonging I'd been looking for because I didn't have many friends here. I'd studied to be a realtor when I came here. And so, like, I knew some people from, like, my real estate stuff, but, like, when you moving somewhere to be a realtor when you don't know anybody is so dumb. Like, don't do it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's really what a lot of life is about, right? I mean, belonging.
Yeah,
and feeling
I wanted
a part
a sense
of something.
Of belonging, and I was like, I don't feel like and I was drinking my way into trying to find that belonging in bars, and I would go to my roommate's gigs, who I was telling you about before, And he was, we were in I was trying to force a relationship on the poor guy. He didn't want to be in a relationship, but he loved me, but like not in the right way, you know, it just, or in the way that I wanted him to, and then I was trying to force the label on it and everything, but it was this whole crazy thing. But then we ended up just being best friends, and now we are still on wonderful, wonderful terms. He is an amazing human, and he is actually the blacksmith at Middleton Place Plantation, and that is one hell of a job that he does. And he also plays saxophone and sings with, he's a bit of a musical whore, if you will, with a whole bunch of people downtown.
Speaking of that, we got to get to some tunes here eventually. But.
Yeah, we got to. But I was saying he took me. Oh, but yeah, he didn't believe in God either. He was like, yeah, fuck that. And so like we like kind of bonded over. He had an alcoholic father. I had dealt with what I had dealt with, and we were both kind of mad at God, if there was a God, and whatever. And so somebody brought me back to recovery. We'll just say that. Yeah. And I went to my first meeting on September 28th in a year and a half, and was like such a sigh of relief and acceptance. And it was like, wow. And I had someone have me sit down and write out a list of what I believed God was and what I believed God wasn't. And that was one of the most helpful things for me, because I could let go of all these other things that I thought that I was mad at about God, like that other people had told me God was. I'm like, no, I don't feel like God is that. I don't feel like God sends good people to hell just because they don't believe in his specific sect. Like, I believe that there is one God, or the universe, or spirit, and everyone has different traditions and ways of worshiping or understanding life, the world, the universe.
Right.
And whatever gets you by, you know, if your God has to be a tree, if your God has to be a door, if your God has to be, for me, I worship, well, I guess I would say I worship. I don't know if I would say worship's the right word. I pray to and meditate over and with my spirit guides, my God of my understanding, Mother Earth, Pachamama. You know, I'm very connected to the earth. That's like, nature is a huge part of me and my healing. I also have learned through Reiki, like, that my spirit animals are the frog, which is a bridge, and, like, because they're amphibious, right? So between, like, the water and land.
Okay.
And so I learned that and the owl, which is pretty cool. And so those are all things that I call upon the energies from whenever I practice Reiki. And, like, angels or whatever you believe in, I'm just like, live your life. It's whatever, you know, just don't be an asshole. That's basically,
well, I mean, a lot of people could say the same thing, right? That you know, if you want to do cocaine, or you want to do meth, or you want to do whatever gets you through. Mm-hmm. I mean, people could say that about really anything, but as long as you're not harming somebody, or you're not infringing on somebody else's rights to do what they want to do, but
or hurting yourself. I mean, that's their business if they're hurting themselves, you know. And you can't convince an alcoholic or an addict to get sober. You're never gonna do it. You can't make anybody get sober.
Yeah.
And because I tried to make my mom get sober, like, for so long. And
sometimes it can work, right? No, never.
I mean, there's shows about interventions and stuff, and like breaking down some people's barriers, but it takes you hitting your bottom ultimately most of the time. You've got to hit your bottom. I hit my bottom.
There has to be a reason to change.
Yeah, I hit my bottom in Florida, man, when I was staying out all night every night, and got kicked out of a bar because a bag of Coke fell out of my friend's pocket, and then I caught coming out the bathroom with it. And that was really humbling. Let me tell you that. That was really... I've never been kicked out of anywhere in my life, and I was like, oh my God, no, this is not me.
Yeah.
But then I kept doing it though, but in a lesser amount, and then I hit another bottom here in Charleston whenever I realized I really can't drink like a normal person, even though I can go days without it, I'm not the kind. There's a bunch of different types of drinkers, you know. Like, there's people who drink all day, every day. There's people who are binge drinkers. I'm a binge drinker. So I'm the kind who, like, I'll go out and I'll drink a whole bunch. But I would smoke weed in between. And that was, like, my other thing. So I'd, like, drink whenever I went out. But I wouldn't keep it in the house because I was trying to, like, be good on the days that I wasn't drinking. But then I started getting prescribed Klonopin. And then my psychiatrist told me I was supposed to quit drinking. And I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I was getting sloppy at gigs. And I almost fell on my drummer one night. And that wasn't good. and you don't want to fall on your drummer.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then I started to feed into my people addiction more. And then I just was wild and out there and just like, I don't give a fuck anymore about myself. Because I just didn't. I was just like an open wound. I was a walking wound. Basically, and like slowly but surely, like the wound is getting healed. Like I've got some stitches that are.
I like that.
Yeah, but I guess I should play some music.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. I think you said you had 3 or 4 songs that you wanted to play that kind of chronologically maybe kind of takes you through some of your progress and your program and whatever you want to call it.
And I also got this super dope tattoo. I don't know
we got
if
a tattoo. Let's see.
I just got this morning.
Can you see it on there?
Yeah. And it says Serenity, Courage, and Wisdom in it, which is the Serenity Prayer, which is super, super, super important to me.
That is awesome.
And shout out to Blue Gorilla Tattoo. Tim Dennis did an amazing job, and I love this tattoo so much.
Yeah, we'll tag those guys in the post.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even think we went live, to be honest with you, but who knows?
It's
I can't find it on here, but it's going to go up. It's going to be live eventually, but yeah, who knows what happens.
It's all right. You're treating it like it's live. It's either way. So I'm playing, you have to remember I'm playing with a fresh tattoo in the center of my arm. So I'm trying.
I don't think I can do it because I remember how this one felt when I had it done, and it's very abrasive.
Well, I'm lucky that I thought he was going to do it full color today. So the fact that he didn't color it in, he's like, your skin needs time to heal with all this.
Yeah, I mean, that's still a little bit of shading here and there for sure.
Oh yeah, he put in some shading, and I mean, I kind of like it as is. Like, part of me doesn't want to like do anything more with it, but also with color, it'll be super cool. But anyways,
now, well, let's go to that for a second. Okay. So you said the Serenity Prayer. What's the significance? Is there any more significance in there? I mean, I see some different things, some petals, a dagger. I mean. Yes. The eye there.
Absolutely. So, I love eyeballs. I have another eyeball tattoo on my left arm that was also done at Blue Gorilla, but it was on Friday the 13th, and I waited 9 hours for it. So that was an adventure. But I was like, I'm committed. But I got, ow. I'm not going to bend my arm. Never mind. I got a second tattoo that day too. So, you know, Friday the 13th deals, they like do, you know, $13 tattoos with a mandatory tip of like $14. But it's whatever. But anyways, I've wanted a dagger tattoo for a while, and originally what I was going to get, this kind of shows some growth, was the lyrics to one of the songs I'm going to play. It hurts, but I think I like it. The song's called I Like It. But the phrase, it was both like kind of like a kinky thing, but also like in the song it's like a double entendre type deal. Like it's like emotion and like physically, you know. And so I thought that I would be like badass, whatever. Like, you know, it hurts, but I think I like the pain.
Yeah,
you know. So
that sounds like a good Joan Jett song or something.
Absolutely. And so but then I decided whenever I went back and got sober. I decided that serenity, courage, and wisdom were the big reminders I needed rather than living in the pain and self-pity, because that is a place that I will curl up in a ball and reside for quite some time if I allow myself.
Yeah.
In the dagger, it's like the sword truth, basically. Like it's kind of like cutting through the bullshit, like cutting through the lies that I tell myself about myself, the like lies that other people put on you. A big thing that my mentor says to me is like, try it on. Does it fit? If not, discard that shit. That rhymed. but if
your next song.
Yeah, if it doesn't fit, discard it. If it does, think about it, work on it, you know? And so, and also this, it's kind of interesting that this has been designed since, my God, he designed this for me in the beginning of March. I was supposed to get it, but then Corona happened.
Yeah.
And so it's been all this time, and the eye is like a third eye, your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And also...
The pineal gland?
Yeah, and the symbol in the middle is a triangle with a circle, which signifies a little bit of the program that I am working.
Okay.
So, it's a recovery tattoo for sure, but it's also empowerment. And like I've got some fight left in me, you know, to fight the good fight, which is the song, my newest song that I'll play. But
that this one?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna play. I guess I should start from the beginning. So I probably should have played this when we first started talking, but
that's fine.
This is the first song that I ever wrote to completion. Like I said, I used to just write songs. Like I would just cry. It's so sad. I would cry and just sing in my house, and that was my way of coping. And I would just cry as I sang. So much emotion like came out of me, and I wrote only when I was in pain, because that's when I felt the most inspired.
That's where a lot of songs come from, right?
It really is, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But now I'm trying to find inspiration to write happy but not cheesy songs, or like inspirational stuff, rather than like everything sucks, you're an asshole, you know?
Yeah.
But this one...
But that's the ebb and flow of life, right? I mean, that's the yin and yang of life. Sometimes it's going to be
true.
that suffering song, and sometimes you're back to the happy songs.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at Taylor Swift. Well, maybe she goes all...
Taylor Swift... I am not a fan of Taylor Swift.
I don't know a lot of people that are. I like her, but... I'm sorry. I'm interrupting.
I liked her song, I knew you were trouble when you walked in, and all the memes that came with that, because I was in college when that came out, and so like the treble clef coming through the door, like I knew you were treble when you walked in. It's terrible. But
all right, so what is this song? What's the story behind this song?
The story behind this song is called, I shortened it to Holes for you, but this is the first song I ever wrote to completion. It's called Forever Filling the Holes, is what I usually say it's called. And it really, I was struggling. I had been raped. I had been struggling with an eating disorder. I had started drinking a lot more, smoking a lot more. And I basically ended up writing about it because the guy who raped me, I also fell in love with, and then he raped me more later. And it was just, I've had an interesting life. It's a lot of struggle and pain, which comes out in my songs, but has made me the person who I am. And I hope to like use this message, and maybe this will help somebody, like knowing like you're not alone. Like, unfortunately, this happens to so many more people than you would think.
Sure. And
like, I hope my music can help, and then if I can be a resource for you, like, reach out through Facebook, whatever, like, talk to me. I'm here. I'm more than happy to help anyone who feels that they're struggling with anything, really. I am open to whatever the God of my understanding's will is for my life, and I know that a big part of that is to help heal people, whether it's through my music, my Reiki healing, sound healing, because I want to do sound healing as well. And using the music therapy training that I have. I can't be a music therapist because I don't have that diploma. Even though I finished. Yeah. But anyways.
I'm sure you can without the piece of paper.
But this is, this song came from, I wrote it after I was raped and just feeling really disrespected as like and invaded, and it just basically my whole life up until then is what it was about.
Okay.
Forever filling the hole feeling this way. I know I do this to myself. I know it's bad for my health, but I need to numb the pain inside. How did it start? I don't know, but it continues to break my heart. Forever filling the holes, forever hiding the pain, forever trying to keep myself from going insane, forever trying to see why you did this to me. And am I destined to be disrespected, not free? 'Cause they didn't treat me right, but I didn't put up a fight. No. Now do you see the pain you're causing me? I can't see clearly anymore. Forever filling the holes, forever hiding the pain, forever trying to keep myself from going insane, forever trying to see why you did this to me. Eat it up, girl, eat it up, girl, eat it up, girl. Eat it up, girl, eat it up, girl. Eat it up, girl, take it up, girl, bottle it up, girl, suck it up, girl, up, girl, up, girl. I'm forever filling the holes you left in me. You broke me, you tore me apart, and now I need a new start, a new start. Forever filling the holes, forever hiding the pain, forever feeling this way.
Wow.
Thank you. So
That was-
yeah,
that was emotional for me, really. that was a rough song.
I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's funny that, you know, in the bridge I say, eat it up, girl. I was struggling with binge eating disorder, with a hint of bulimia. Eat it up, girl. Take it up, girl. You know, like sex stuff. Like bottle it up, girl. I was talking about drinking. Suck it up, and like like smoking, whatever. Like those were like all my vices that I was just and it's funny, like looking back, like I had no idea I had a problem. I had no idea. I just knew I was miserable. Yeah. I just knew I was hurting so bad. And I don't play that song very often because it's so freaking heavy, and it's meant for piano, but it's easier to just bring my guitar here rather than my
So you
keyboard.
play multiple instruments? Or?
Yes, I play guitar. I play ukulele, kind of mediocre. I get by on the ukulele, but my first instrument I ever learned how to play was piano, actually. So my parents forced me into piano lessons. I said, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And my mom said, you'll thank me someday. And she was right. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah.
So...
Now, I ask a lot of people this every time they talk about playing multiple instruments, but does one help you play the other? I mean, do you feel like the piano led into anything else? Is there any similarities into those things? I mean, I know it's just all notes, but...
I mean, I guess, like, just to understand music in general, yeah, but, like, piano and guitar is so different. For me. Yeah. For me, like, I mean, there's scales, like, that, like... There's, like, the same, like, you know, chords, notes sound the same on both and whatever, and scales. Like, so, like, the theory knowledge that I gained through piano helped me with guitar.
So do you actually know music, read music, or do you just play by ear?
Yes.
Both?
Well, going to school to be a music therapist, I had to take 4 semesters of music theory. So I had to get very in-depth into it, and it sucked. I was not, because it's very mathematical, and I'm not good at math. Music is it's a like a mathy thing, you know, but I'm more the artist creative side and not so much the mathy technical kind. So, like, I'm just a messy artist, you know, at heart. And I struggled with music theory, and I'm really grateful for the friends I had that helped me study. And I'd have to go in early to class to, like, get tutoring, because oral theory, like, they would play something on the piano and be like, write what I just played. And I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, I would have just walked out of class.
It was so hard.
I'm out of here.
I have to do 4 levels of this.
Yeah.
Isn't one good enough? But no, they wanted you to be very well rounded as a musician, and that was really important, and it helped me absolutely. But I've been able to read music since I was a little kid because I was forced to play piano.
Yeah.
But I didn't like playing piano until I realized I could play piano and sing at the same time. It's like...
So singing was more of your forte,
voice, yeah. Voice, I was a classical voice concentration in college. And in high school, I was the president of drama club. So there's musical theater in my voice. I just can't get it out, and I don't really want to. But, like, no, it's like musical theater with a little grit, you know, and a little bit of soul to it, that you'll hear come out in my other songs. But yeah, musical theater was my life, and I liked that a lot more than playing an instrument. But then when I was like 15 or 16, I started playing piano while singing. And I remember, like, some of the first songs I learned were Stay by Rihanna and Don't Stop Believin' by Journey, and Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, but the Sarah Bareilles version. Right. And I ended up doing that for a talent show. And I liked that a lot more than just playing, because just playing piano classically just was not fun for me. But now it kind of is, like, but I just play by muscle memory. Like, I can play, like, Fairlies, like the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. I still remember how to play that, but that's about all I got. But I haven't tried to read music in a while. And they say if you don't use it, you lose it. So, like, sight reading is what they call it whenever you are just, like, reading something for the first time, like, the first time and playing it as you read it. It's like reading a book, but you're doing something also. Right.
But I mean, at this point, with what you're doing, I mean, you don't really need to, right? I mean, you can just kind of go by ear and just kind of jump in with anybody that you're playing with.
Yeah, I can go by ear a lot. That's something that's grown in me. And I don't, but the thing is, I would never just be like the guitar player for a band or just the keyboard player for a band. Like, my voice is my biggest asset for anything, really. I mean, that's my strongest instrument. And so, I mean, maybe if I worked harder on my instruments, which I haven't recently, unfortunately, I probably would be able to be like the keyboardist for a band. But I stopped playing music in my addiction, like, for the most part. I was in a band, and we had some gigs like here and there, but like when I moved to Pittsburgh,
So not The Mood, but
not
a
the
different
mood.
band.
It was a band. I was in a band called Elysian Sex Drive in Florida.
All right,
Very interesting band name, I know. I didn't come up with it. But I was a part of that band. It was a mostly gay band. It was in, like, we performed mostly in the gayborhood and had, like, a 40-year-old lesbian and up age group following. And but that's because of the lead singer. That was, like, they were all her friends and stuff. And so I became her backup singer and I became her keyboard player. And so I performed with them, but when I moved to Pittsburgh for those 8 months, I barely played a lick of music. I didn't touch it. I was so depressed and I was just so fucked in the head that I was just like...
Yeah. I mean, the musicians just go through seasons anyway. I mean, is that just part of the process?
It's for some people, yeah. I mean... I recently did an amazing retreat called Purpose Spark Retreat. It was an online retreat where they paired up with Satsong. I don't know if you've ever heard of that band, but it's a really awesome band. And the lead singer's name is Drew, and he is like what the kids would call woke AF. Yeah. And he's in recovery too. And he's a podcast as well, and like they have like the Satsong movement. And that's really where my idea of like the way to solve this is like through love. Like that's really what he said. He's like love and understanding. That's really like the only way. But I forget where I was going with that. Why did I mention him? Shoot, I hate when I do that.
Yeah, it happens.
I did it a lot more when I smoked weed, though. All the time. That was a problem. I was like, I would be going somewhere, I'd be like, oh, shit. But, no, I did this awesome...
Well, kind of in that same... So, let me ask you a question on that then. So, do you have a direction that you... I mean, I know I've heard you sing, like, Alanis Morissette and some Four Non-Blondes, different, cult music, popular culture type music, but do you... With your addiction and with religious background, different things, do you lean towards a certain style of music, like religious style music? Or,
no. I say that so strongly.
I was like, wow.
No. It's trauma related, really. It's just like when your parents are like drinking themselves to death.
And I didn't mean to pick on religion,
but when they're
music
drinking,
about addiction or music about religion. Or
no,
music
I'm saying
about
the
this.
music about religion. I call it Jesus music.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And I don't like it because basically growing up, like watching my parents drink themselves to death and then like play worship music in the background.
Not to death.
Not, well...
No.
It got bad in recent years. But like I said, thankfully they're doing a lot better. But I did actually lose my aunt to alcoholism 2 weeks into my recovery. So like when I say people do drink themselves to death, they freaking do. Like she literally ended up in the ICU. Her liver completely failed, and she was yellow as it gets freaking ugly. But anyways, they would play like worship music and then like be doing all this other stuff, and I'm just like, what? Like this does not compute. Like, this, like, and so the hypocrisy basically pissed me off so much that like if I hear like I can only imagine, I'm like, like turn it off.
Yeah.
And my siblings feel the same way. They hate that type of music.
All right, well, there you go.
But that
answers my question.
Yeah, but like I do. In one of my songs, it's a song I play on piano. It's called "Can You Hear Me?" It's like I am crying out to God or something. Like I'm saying, "Can you hear me? I'm screaming now," and like, are you there? Are you even listening to me? Right. And it's like, that's possibly like I am talking to God, so God was always there. It's just my understanding changed and my acceptance of it changed. But also I made people my God. My boyfriends, my girlfriends, my, like, people I'd be involved with, like, they would become...
Well, it's funny because I was just thinking of that when you were singing that lyric right there, that, you know, that person could be talking about God, or they could be talking about their girlfriend or their boyfriend or their
Right.
parents. I mean, it could have a meaning for something different for anybody that listens to it and interprets it, I guess.
And that's what it was meant to be, is whatever you interpret it to be. But for me, I didn't know I didn't want to say that it was God because I was mad at God.
Right.
But I wrote that my senior year of college. And I was already mad at God. Because things that just... Basically, a lot of it comes down to control. I've got a control problem, like, where I want to control things, and I realize that I can't control... If I'm feeling a negative emotion, it's because there's something going on outside of myself that I want to control that I can't control.
Yeah.
And that's something I came to realize. And I can't control my family. I can't control anybody but myself. And who I allow... And, you know, I can't control people, but I can control who I allow to be, like, around me. And that's something, like, boundaries was not something I had growing up. I could not comprehend what a boundary was.
That's part of the prayer, right? Is give me the strength to whatever that thing is.
It's God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Because sometimes we're like, we don't know what's up or down or left or right. And so, but I blame people for my problems. People and God, but mostly, not really even God so much. It was more like people and, like, look at what you did to me. And that's, like, what I said at the end of Forever Filling the Holes is, like, forever trying to see why you did this to me. And you broke me. And you tore me apart. Now I need a new start. That was more talking about my biological father. But I realize now, like, I was never broken. I was just a little cracked. And cracked out, not really. I tried that once, hated it. But not a good idea. But I just had, like I said, I was a walking gaping wound for so long, and just like, woe is me, you did this to me. And this next song I'm gonna play was more when I moved into my anger phase.
All right.
And so it's called Are You Happy Now? And this is when I was the activities director at the retirement
You got a Sheryl
home.
Crow song or something?
What?
No, just kidding.
I could.
No, I said, isn't that a Sheryl Crow song? I feel like I've heard that too.
Oh, is
name
it?
Before, but...
No, I was going to say, I could play, what's the song by Sheryl Crow that I like to play? Shit. I like to play... There's one that I played it the other day, that if it makes you happy...
Maybe that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, can't be that bad. I'm going to take this off, actually, to play.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because it was throwing me off a little bit. All right.
Yeah, a little delay or something.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Sorry if my hair's all poofy. I'm getting it cut next week, finally, since quarantine. It's been forever.
This is Are You Happy Now?
Are You Happy Now?
Cool.
I have to remember the chorus. That's it. All right. Are you happy now that I am in pain? Are you happy now 'cause you made me this way? You broke me down and ran me around and around and Are you happy now? 'Cause I can hardly understand how you could be. You suck the life from me and you play me for a fool. Are you happy now? What do you do when the meds don't work no more? What do you do when smoking starts to become a chore? What do you do when the things that used to bring you joy, they don't bring you joy no more? Are you happy now? 'Cause you pushed me to the edge. Are you happy now? That I wanna jump off that ledge. I'm tired and I'm weak and I'm crying, can't hardly speak. Are you happy now? Whoa. Are you happy now? I hope you are. You happy now? 'Cause you pushed me this far. I'm tired and I'm weak and I'm crying, can't hardly speak. Are you happy now? Oh. Are you happy now?
Nice. A little more intense than the first one.
Oh, a lot more
First one's a little
intense.
more somber. This one's a little more upbeat.
This is
But it's angry though. Upbeat and angry. If you
Yeah.
can have both. I got to turn the volume back up a little bit. I had to notch it down just.
Oh
a tad
yeah, I
bit.
get loud, and so I was a little afraid of that, of getting
No,
too
that's
loud
fine.
for you. But yeah, so that one.
That was awesome. I like that
Thank you.
one.
I wrote that whenever I was.
And we are live, by the way.
Oh, we are.
I put it on the wrong page, so it's on my Craft Conversations page instead of my personal page, which I meant to do it the reverse, but
It's all right.
oh well.
We're here.
I finally found it. So
Well, I hope I didn't sound like a fool.
no. it
So
sounded great.
I hope I'm making sense to people's. But yeah. So that song, I was in a pretty toxic relationship with someone who is now like one of my best friends. Like we are on really great terms now, but he moved to Florida with me from Philadelphia, and we were in and out of a relationship while living together, and it was kind of disastrous, very disastrous. And that's where my coke use began.
So we got Coke, we got marijuana, we got alcohol. That's
all I did,
The main
yeah.
three. Okay.
I mean, I took some pills one time. Someone like handed me, I don't know what they were, one night. It was a really bad night. I was really uncomfortable, and so I was just like, you know, take whatever, you know, to make me more comfortable, because someone was really invading my space, and I wasn't okay with it, but they weren't listening when I said no, and so I got myself as messed up as possible so I'd be okay with it. And that's the really ugly side of things sometimes, you know. It's, anyways, but I've done some hallucinogens as well. Nitrous was fun. I liked nitrous a lot.
Yeah.
That's the balloons, like, you know, you get, like, the laughing gas. That's not really a hallucinogen, but I've done mushrooms, and I've done LSD. And honestly, I did LSD like 3 times, and once was like a really amazing spiritual experience. And
Sure.
it really depends on who you're around and who you're with. I think that medicinally, like, you know, tripping can be beneficial for people.
Oh yeah, they're doing a lot of microdosing right now with PTSD patients and different things like that, TBI and things. So they're finding big benefits to that. Dementia, I think, as well.
Dementia too. That's awesome. I have a whole.
They're finding it kind of reconnects some synapses in the brain or whatever.
And, not just in magic mushrooms, but in mushrooms in general, there's so many healing properties. And there's, a lot of people believe that the cure to cancer is somewhere hidden in a mushroom. Like, we just got to find it, or they're just keeping it from us to make more money. I mean, that's government conspiracy, but whatever.
Yeah.
But the one time I did shrooms, I was already drinking, and I just puked them up. So that didn't turn out too well. But I took like half of one and had like a good trip one time, but it wasn't like that heavy of a trip. But like when I like really like tripped, it was with my cousin and like with really good people around me for the most part, and like they guided me through it because they all like they like trip for a living, not really, but like the guy who I got it from, like he was from the West Coast and stuff, and like he was living with them at the time, and he was like really he's like, they call him the Wizard. So he's like this, he looks like the Jolly Green Giant. Like he's like this wizard guru man who wears this maroon velvet robe and just like hands you drugs. Yeah. He's an awesome person though, but I had to fly the next day to Florida. So I was up all night, and then I was up for like 36 hours basically, or 48 hours, because I was still tripping on the airplane.
Yeah. And
I wrote high thoughts like from the airplane, or tripping thoughts, and like I still have them on my phone in a note because they were really deep, insightful, like important things.
Yeah.
And
are they in a song anywhere? Or?
No, they're not in a song anywhere, but they are in my phone. But but like one of them was something that the wizard said to me. It was like, do more things that make you happy with who you are. That was a big revelation, is like, stop trying to people please, basically. Like, do things that make you feel good about being you. And I'm like, but I don't even know who I am, and also like it taught me about like, even like with boundaries, like there's a person trying to get kind of with me that night, and I kept saying no, and that's a common theme. No means no. Listen.
It does.
Damn it. Like, but even in my barely functional, like not even knowing what time it was state, like I still was like I was able to stand up for myself and be like, no. And also my cousin and her boyfriend at the time, they were spinning fire poi, and it was so cool, like watching their fire poi and stuff. And I will never look at a sunrise or a sunset the same way again, because when I watched the sun come up, I wish I was sleeping at that point. I was so mad I was awake. But that's what I hated about cocaine. And that's why I'm an addict, is because I don't want to come down. Ever. Yeah. Like, because coming down is like the worst thing. And so I would just have to keep doing it. And when it's time to come down, then I would start to hate myself. And then I started to get into that place, but at the same time marveling at the sky and like the beautiful, miraculous, like no two sunsets are the same, no two sunrises are the same, and like that's a blessing, I think, from God that like we see every day.
Yeah. And I mean, you talk about cocaine. I mean, that can be with anything, right? I mean, it could be with caffeine. It can be with a cigarette. I mean,
absolutely.
People that chain smoke, or they need that coffee every single day, or 2, 3, 4 of them a day.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
The cocaine for me was
they're all
that
drugs.
thing that, yeah. Oh, they are. They are all drugs. And, like cocaine originally comes from a plant. Opiates, they originally come from a plant. Kratom or kratom, whatever you want to call it, it's a relative of the coffee tree. But guess what? That took me back out my first time.
Did it?
It did, because it mimics cocaine. It mimics opiates. Like, it's like close, but not close enough. What I mean? And so you like reach a little further, and then eventually you're just like, fuck it.
Right. Interesting.
And that's why in Florida, they got a ton of kava and kratom bars, but I have yet to see one here in Charleston. But that was a big thing in Florida.
I'm trying to think. I swear I've seen one like on Dorchester Road or something. But
and they had CBD cafes down there too, which was cool. Like they would just have, and I will use CBD products and stuff. Like I'm not against CBD's it has no psychoactive anything.
That was going to be one of my questions because some people, I don't know how many people, I don't know what the numbers are, but there are some people that say I'm an alcoholic, but I can still do some weed and I'm okay. Or the vice versa, whatever. I mean, but you're nothing.
So I
even talked to, we talked about Corey. Everybody knows Corey, who was on the podcast. But, I even asked him that question. I said, what do you think, when you go to a meeting or whatever you do, and all they do is they serve you tons of coffee all night and everybody's outside smoking cigarettes during the breaks. I mean, I don't know. Do you feel like you're kind of trading one addiction for another?
In a way, but
even a donut, sugar, whatever.
Right. Weed though is more mind altering than those other substances, and it's true. And it took me, and I'll be completely honest and transparent here because I want to live my truth. Even though I haven't I haven't drank or done cocaine since September 28th, I relapsed on weed because I thought I could do it.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was the lesser evil.
So that just opened the door to the other stuff again.
It didn't. I didn't go back to the other stuff.
Okay.
So I smoked half a joint with my boyfriend at the time back in January. And then my sponsor at the time told me, you got to start your count over. Your time that you've had up till here doesn't matter.
That always sucks, right?
And I was pissed off. And then he broke up with me a few days later. And I lost my shit and almost had to go to the hospital because I wanted to die. Like I had so wrapped myself up in this person and made him and his daughter my, like, everything. And I felt like I had this family that I'd always wanted, and it was so painful. And he broke up with me over Facebook Messenger. Who does that? Like, especially when you live in the same damn city, and we were supposed to go to brunch together that day. And so he broke up with me, and I lost it. But that night that he broke up with me is when Corey and I started to get close, actually. And we became closer friends, and he talked to me for like 2 hours that night. But I in front of a group of people, picked up a white chip, which is sign of surrender. Like saying to everybody, yep, I fucked up. But I didn't want to let go of the time that I had because I'm like, I still haven't drank, like I still haven't done coke, like those are worse. Like,
right,
and
you should have separate chips or something, right?
Right, that's what I feel like there should be, and so that's kind of why I go to 2 different fellowships, but one says like, we will stay away from cocaine and all mind altering substances, and the other one's just alcohol. But okay. I personally that's why I was gonna separate them and be like, for one, like all of my sober time in this one, and then my sober time in this one. But then that's like me just trying to play mind games with myself and with everybody. Like, no. And I had
just giving yourself an out, probably.
Yeah, and so I had a really good talk with in the Purpose Spark program that I did, that online retreat. A man who was also in recovery, he told me that he relapsed on weed and he had been sober since 2008, and he now only counts his sober time since 49 days ago, which was the day I talked to him a few days ago. So it's 50 some days for him now, but he was like, I only count it from this time because, it's but a symptom. It's like us, like we're sick and that's a symptom of our illness, is us using and going and doing these things because it is a spiritual sickness. And I'm like, shit, you're right. And I did go, so I did some edibles over quarantine, and then I stopped again, and then I bought some weed and I smoked half a bowl, and I immediately was like this was May 9th. I bought weed. I went and I ran to like the head shop down the street. I bought a bowl and a grinder and everything, and I was like fully intending on replacing my Klonopin with it because I'm like, it's better for me, right? It's better. But the thing is, Klonopin's not really. It's not as, even though it is something that you can get addicted to. I use it as prescribed, and it's not psychoactive for me. Like, it doesn't make me feel any other kind of way. Right. But when I smoked, I thought...
And I mean, it can just be depending on the weed, too, right? The strain of weed.
Also, the strain... I had some hard shit. Like, it was that loud that I was singing about. Like, smoking that loud. Yeah. It was... And I... You know, if I lived in a state where medicinal was legal... I'd want to go to a doctor and get prescribed something, possibly, you know, but...
I mean, you would want to, or you would want to?
I think I would, that's something I think I would seek out rather than being on a benzodiazepine.
Which, you mean being a good thing or a bad thing? That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, you would seek it out and that's bad, or you would seek it out...
I think that it could be good if it's, like, the right strength.
If it's titrated right.
Exactly. If, like, people who know what they're doing and not just buying it off the street, because this was just some, like, really high-level THC stuff. And I, for the first time ever, smoked and got anxious as fuck. Right. And I immediately realized, I don't want to do this.
Right. Well, that's what they say about regulation, right? Is it helps to regulate the weed and make sure that everything kind of stays in line with the strain that it's supposed to be, and you just, you know, right. You're getting it off the streets, you just don't know what you're getting.
Exactly. But part of me says that, like, you know, I would want to be prescribed it, like, by a doctor if I lived in a medicinal state. But then another part of me, I truly don't think that I need it. Right. I think that I can live without it. And not think, I know I can, because I have. And have been way better off. So basically, the last time I smoked, I called my sponsor while stoned out of my mind. Was texting Corey. I was just like so mad at myself. And I was mad at myself for throwing away all the money that I threw away and everything. And my mentor was like, "But is this you throwing it away? Like, it's a lesson. Like, you invested in an intensive course in life. Yeah. You know, and you just learned that this is not, it's not for you anymore. Your vibration," she's super hippy dippy and just like me, and I love her. She's like, "Your vibration has raised above that now, and you know that it doesn't serve you in your highest self." And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. And, you know, she was like, maybe return it to Mother Earth, like, go bury it in your backyard. So I went and buried it in the night. It was dark. I dug a hole with my bare hands in the ground, and I'm just like, I give it back to you. Like, that's some high shit. And so, like, I buried it in the ground the night before Mother's Day. And so May 10th is my new sobriety date. But I feel like I want to preface that all the time with but I haven't smoked, I haven't drank, and I wasn't smoking the whole time.
And that shouldn't matter.
I'm like, I only smoked twice, and I realized it wasn't right, and I did some edibles in between, but it's not like I was just out there, like, getting stoned 24/7. Like, it wasn't, like, it was a relapse, but it wasn't, like, hardcore like it could have been. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like I'm proud of myself for that. And I'm allowed to be proud of myself. And some people judge me. And I'm afraid kind of to go back to things now that they're open. Because, like, I'm afraid of the people who are my friends to judge me. But I know that if, like, they do, then they're not for me. Right. But I don't want to hear people's, like, I told you so's, or, like, this or that or the other thing, because it's just, like, that's not helpful, you know? But I can't control, like I said, I can't control other people, but I can control who I allow myself to be around. Right. So this third song I'm going to play for you. My arm was getting tired on the last one. I'm resting it here, and it's like turning red now. It's
That's
getting
fine.
all swollen and shit.
We'll wrap it whenever you want to wrap it, but let's see where we're at right now.
Where are we at?
An hour and 34 minutes.
Okay.
This camera over here lasts usually about an hour and 45 minutes, 50 minutes or so. My other cameras should be good. They're fine so far. So
okay,
whatever you want to do.
I'll just
One
play
song, 2 songs, 5 more songs.
I'll play 2 more. I want to play this one because
really not 5 more songs.
No, not 5 more. No, I'm gonna play 2 more, and I'll. This is.
I Like It. Is that the one you were gonna do?
That's I Like It. Yeah. So I'm gonna take this off again.
Okay.
And we'll move this back again. So this is I Like It. And
This going to be a powerful vocal as well?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll turn this down just a little bit.
I'm trying not to bump
Hopefully
the
it's
table.
coming out all right on the live. I don't know. If you're listening to it live right now, guys, it's going to be out in the morning on YouTube and Podbean and Spotify and all those places. You can listen to the recorded version, hopefully a little bit better version, but should be good live. I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So this is I Like It. It's the tattoo I said I was going to get originally that says it hurts, but I think I like it through the ribbon instead. So that's where the inspiration, this is where the inspiration came from.
All right.
To watch me leave, and I got a feeling the stock of assets that I would cheat. You like it when I'm here, but you don't care when I go. To be honest, it makes me feel like I'm even more alone. But it's so with butterflies when you call me on the phone. I don't listen when people tell me I should leave this alone. And it's hard to talk about right now, so I'll sing about it somehow, just to stay out of my head. Why can't I get you out of my head? And chills me to the bone. I'm just so fucking anxious, it's no fun to be alone. Mind racing, thoughts chasing, but my body is ablaze. And every time you bring me home, would it be better to be alone? And it's hard to talk about right now, but I'll sing about it somehow. You stay out of my head. Why can't I get you out of my head? And it's hard to talk about right now, but I'm holding tight to you somehow. You got to my head, now you're stuck inside my head. Ow, 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 ow. I hope I sealed my mouth, didn't seal my fate. What do you do when you've messed up and it's too late? I don't care, enough fucks given, this body's so hard to live in. Everybody's got an opinion. Maybe this once I should listen, but this is me. Everything you see and don't see, I wear my heart upon my sleeve. I can't sleep, you can't eat. It'd be best to retreat. I can't escape, you can't erase you. You ask me why I haven't tried to replace you. All I can say is the truth. Yeah, no way, I'm not trying to hide it. It hurts, but I think I like it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Really cool.
So that's where I like it came from. And I'll talk a little bit about this next one before I sing it. Put my headphones back on here.
Now, is there an album or something? Do you have an EP, album? You thought about recording these?
I need to, and I have a place that I want to go to. I just haven't done it. There's a lot going on in my life right now. I was talking to you a little bit before this started about how my 20-year-old sister is about to move here by the end of the month from Seattle. So right now, I'm trying to find a place that'll take a 90-pound American Staffordshire Bull Terrier, my pit bull, and 2 cats.
Not take them, but take all of you guys.
Rent us. Oh, yeah, no, not take them. No. We would, oh my God, she's moving here to become a dog trainer, okay? So, there's no way we would ever give that up.
Right. How big you said? 90 pounds?
His name's Big Stanley. He is 90 pounds.
Okay. Because, Leia downstairs, she's, I think she's right at 60 right now. She's getting a little hefty.
Yeah. Xena, my pit bull is twins with his. And she is 47 pounds last she was at the vet.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to try a little bit of that. I had to chug.
There you
go. But yeah.
What did you think about the first one? Did we even talk about the beer? The kombuchas?
We talked honestly.
I liked it.
I like the ginger one, the hibiscus ginger, a lot more.
It was very good.
That tastes like health.
Oh, that's right. You did say that up front. I thought that was a good thing, but now you make it sound like it's medicinal health or something.
It tastes more like...
Damn it. We didn't even talk about these goddamn guys, really.
I mean... It's like, this tastes more like straight up apple cider vinegar than any of the others.
Okay, which is, a
big
flavor that you get.
But and it's...
Let's go through these real quick. Let's do a sidebar real quick.
Sure.
I forgot we even opened these guys up and didn't even talk about them. So...
Oh, I love this one.
It's good? Mm. So we're doing craft kombucha today because we're not doing craft beer. In craft conversations... the original moniker was a little bit about craft beer, I guess, but really it's about crafting conversations, about crafting music, it's about crafting art, it could be crafting anything. And today we're crafting music and we're drinking craft kombucha here locally from Charleston.
One Love Kombucha.
One Love Kombucha. We are committed to crafting the highest quality kombucha. We source ingredients from South Carolina farms and honor traditional brewing techniques to ensure our kombucha is low in sugar and full of beneficial probiotics. And I was telling a friend of mine earlier today when I bought these, and I was looking at the ingredients, because I kind of quit drinking kombucha because of the high sugar content. I mean, most that you buy are 21 grams of carbohydrates and higher, probably. I mean, some of them are really 30s and 40s. Yeah, this is like 7 grams of carbohydrates. 7
grams of carbs and 2 grams of sugar.
Yeah, so it's super, super low. I told her it was like a quarter of the sugar I'd normally see in a kombucha, so that was really good to me. I like that a lot. And that it's locally sourced and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm
big into local. Buy local, faux show.
Right.
And I really like the butterfly lavender. It smells very lavendery and that's comforting. I love essential oils.
Excuse me.
And stuff, so it's great. But the ginger hibiscus, the hibiscus ginger will always be my favorite. As I've tried these two, this one I know is good for me, so I drink it. You know what I mean? Because turmeric is so good for you.
Right. Let's talk about it for a second. So turmeric trio, it's a thirst-quenching trio of turmeric, carrots, and citrus crafted to boost levels of vitamin C and help calm inflammation throughout the body. So that's what you had first.
Well, that's good because I just got this brand new tattoo. It'll calm my inflammation.
There we go. I had the hibiscus ginger to begin with, which is a floral kiss of hibiscus flowers paired with a punch of ginger. This flavor is our favorite way to start the day or to help settle an upset stomach. So that's good.
I have a bad tummy, and so that's why I'm lactose intolerant, but I don't respect that very much. So I am big into ginger.
So you're lactose tolerant then?
What?
So you're lactose tolerant then? Because you tolerate it.
I tolerate
doses.
the pain, I guess, but I try to take lactate pills. But anyways, anytime something is ginger in it, I'm like, yes, ginger, because I know it'll help my tummy.
The last one we're drinking is the butterfly lavender, right?
Butterfly lavender.
So fun, refreshing notes of lavender plus the antioxidant anthocyanin from butterfly pea flowers, which also provides the vibrant color. Makes this flavor popular as a cocktail mixer. Ooh, we don't want that. We don't want a cocktail mixer, but
well, I mean that's fine. You guys can use it as a cocktail mixer. Like I'd be fine just sitting here, you know, like if you were drinking, like I wouldn't give a shit, you know. Like that's what I figured it was gonna be. Is like you were gonna have beer and I was gonna have my kombucha. I don't really care. Like I'm cool. We've
had other people on here that didn't drink.
Yeah, I'm cool.
We've done craft root beer. We've done craft kombucha before from Coastal Coffee Roasters, locally made. Bunch of things. We do different things all the time. But
heck yeah. Well, I guess we're coming up on. Is that?
Yeah, that camera died. But the other two are still good. So if I can use some footage from that, I will. If not, no big deal. I just wanted to have some backup footage just in case. But
cool beans.
One Love Kombucha. I'm digging it. Let's just go there.
I'm digging it as well. Hibiscus ginger is where it's at, though. For real.
I didn't taste the first one, but between this and the lavender, I would say, or between the lavender and the ginger, I would say I like the ginger better.
The ginger it's definitely my fave.
Yeah.
It is.
But they had a muscadine grape one that I really wanted to try, but they didn't have that one up there, so.
Oh, yeah.
What can you do?
But, I mean, I don't know where to, other than the farmers markets, and I know the Cafe of Sweet Abundance in West Ashley, they carry this. My dear friend Annie O owns that, and it's a vegan cafe. It's really great and my lactose intolerance, I like to order from there because they have vegan desserts and cookies. And
but God. Are you vegan, or you just like some of the vegan stuff?
No, I just like their vegan. She makes vegan food amazing. Like it's like you can't tell that it's not real chicken on the sandwiches.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to knock this over. Can I use this semi-full one to see if I can hold this up?
Here, try this. Let's see if you prop it up against that.
Boom. I'm not wearing my glasses, and so for my new song that I'm going to play, I need to be able to read it and scroll.
Oh, I thought you were like self-recording over there. So.
Oh, no.
All right, so
I was thinking about it, but I wanted to play this newest song and talk a little bit about where I'm at now.
Okay, so we'll finish up with this one.
Yes, I'm sorry. I got those kombucha burps.
No, let it out, man.
Better out than in, I always say. Or Shrek said.
Excuse me. Me too. There we go.
Well, shit.
That didn't work either?
It's fine. We'll make it work. Stay. I just will make that
Can you put...
It's good. It's good. I think it's good. I was trying to zoom in on it and it wasn't letting me, but it's fine.
Put that underneath the phone so it doesn't slide, maybe.
That's smart. Putting a coaster, those of you who are just listening, under the phone.
There you go.
Why won't you let me zoom in, you son of a beach? It's fine. Oh my god.
So this guitar here, is this something you've had for a while? Is it just a guitar you got at the yard sale? I mean, what's the story behind the guitar?
It was donated to me, actually, when I was the activities director of a retirement home. It's an Epiphone. It's been through a lot with me, and it's currently broken on the inside, like me. Just kidding. It's the aux hookup fell inside, so I've been like procrastinating on getting it fixed. But I have a second guitar at home that's like an ESP LTD. It's blue, like wood tiger stripes looking with like mother of pearl insets. It's so pretty. Yeah. But the action on it, I don't know if you know what that means, but like pressing down on it, it is really painful. And so
like the strings itself?
Strings, it has high action, which in the guitar world means like it's you have to press really hard on the strings to not like see how that sounds terrible and that sounds good. It's like I have to press really hard and then get ouchies on my fingers from pressing so hard. And so this one has pretty high action already, and then that one's action is just like I have to take it somewhere to get it fixed, basically, so that I can play it again, because that was
or just get calloused, right? I mean,
yeah, but I mean, its action's really high. Like, I had Corey play it, and he was just like, shit, you know. But like, this one's more reasonable. But like, I want it to be like, calluses. Like, I've got calluses, you know. But it's like, this one is reasonable. The one I have at home, it's not reasonable anymore, because I had to get a replacement piece for this bridge up here. If you can see, like, this little piece here.
Yeah.
Where the first string is, the high E. I'd played my guitar so much in Florida, being the activities director, that it totally broke off, like, this corner piece. And so I replaced this bridge, and so now it stands up too high, so that's why it's like pressing down is
I gotcha.
painful. But anyways,
yeah.
So this song that I wrote, I was inspired by my Purpose Spark retreat that I did with two amazing individuals who lead it.
Fight the Good Fight, right?
Fight the Good Fight, yes.
Okay.
This amazing retreat was led by two amazing men named Adam Elfers and Gregory Bogard, and also in combination with Drew from Satsong and his wife Summer. And look up Satsong if you haven't heard their music. It is so uplifting and just like full of like love, empowered energy. It's awesome. But we did like a full moon ritual retreat thing, and I was just so inspired by the magical people that I met on there and their talents. It was kind of like an open mic, and I was just like, these people are just magical freaking humans. And I just had a song flow out of me, and I haven't written a song to completion like in since it's been like a year. And so it was a big deal for me to actually have written a song. Because these songs that I wrote, the last one I played, I wrote like 2-3 years ago. And then the one before that, I wrote the year before. So, and then the other one was from when I was 19 or 20. And so it's like, you know, I'll have a few songs, but I've got a few other ones, but like they're on piano. So these are my guitar songs. But anyways, this is a song about, you know, rising from the ashes and living your truth and following your purpose and like what my mission is in life, and why I feel like I'm here. So I'm gonna take my headphones off again and push this mic away from me a little bit.
Yeah, I got it. It's another big vocal. Maybe.
Some of it. Give me problems. Alright. I'm more than fine, gotta say I'm sublime. I'm an empowered woman with a mission in mind. Can't nobody stop me, I got that power divine. Special about me, and I know that it's only mine. This music just flows from my heart, it grows, getting rid of all these blockages, my true self shows. 'Cause I'm strong, got my passion on it, I'm free, got everything I need inside me. Fight the good fight, give into the light, I'm free. I'm free, yeah. Ain't nothing gonna dim my shine. Yeah, fight the good fight and rise. Spread all the love and rise. Just take my hand and
Excellent. That's a great song to end on. That's kind of a good song for the times we're in right now, really.
That's why I wrote it. That was only my maybe third or fourth time playing that through with the lyrics, and so I was scrolling my phone trying to read it as I went, and I'm not gonna stop making excuses. I named my
what can you do?
My inner critic. Her name is Bertha because she big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Bertha, shut up. But
trust me, I know how it is.
A big part of this song is my mission is to love, accept, heal, and respect, because every soul matters. Can't change my mind about that. I'm not fearless, but I'm strong, trying this new spirit on. And like that part for this time that we're living in right now is especially important and potent to me, because that's not saying all lives matter. That's Black lives do matter. Like, and I'm taking this like place where I've got some privilege and a platform to say, like, every soul matters. We got to respect and love and spread this love to each other. Like, like love your brothers and sisters. And it's like I said, my mission is to heal, accept, heal, and respect. And my my Reiki teacher, when she did my Reiki attunement, which is the process in which the master passes on the energy to the student, she said that a mantra that came up for her, like from like guides, spirits, angels, whatever, like universe, was that I am a radical instrument of love and acceptance. Or I'm an instrument of radical love and acceptance. One of those two. But anyways,
they both sound cool.
Yeah. But I'm an instrument of radical love and acceptance. And that has to be for me and for other people. So I'm really working hard on both sides. Like, I feel like I guess I accept and love others more than myself. But also I realized through working my program that I have quite the ego. Or the anti-ego, I call it, where like I'm self-deprecating to an extent. But this is I'm reclaiming my power. Admitting powerlessness over drugs and alcohol was empowering. Burying my weed in my backyard. I shouldn't have said that's where it is, but you don't know where I live. Burying my weed.
Following you home.
Yeah, burying my weed. I mean, it was good shit. I mean, if back in the day I would have liked it, but oh no. But burying my weed, that gave me this insight into myself, and it was empowering. It was an empowering experience. Like, I've just had a lot of stuff thrown at me lately, and I'm taking it all in my stride, and I'm really proud of that. And that I'm becoming this person who can handle these things. And like, things were just starting to mellow out. And like I was like, I got a handle on this. And then God's just like, we're going to throw your sister at you. Yeah. And I love her to death. And I'm excited to have her here. She's my best friend. But, it's a big deal having to go fly out to Seattle, pack up her apartment, move her and her 90-pound Staffordshire Bull Terrier here, find an apartment for the 6 of us. It's gonna be an adventure, but I'm welcoming it because I know that it'll work out, because it is, and that's something my mentor says to me, is that everything is good because everything is in God's will. And like right now, this moment, like it was supposed to happen, you know, when I walk out this door, whatever happens to me, it was supposed to happen. And I mean, that's kind of like a hard thing for some people to believe, and it used to be hard for me to believe, because I'm like, then why does this happen, and why does this happen, and why is there war, and why do babies die, and like stuff like that, you know? But like, I don't know, I just try not to think about that, I guess. I just think about like in my life, when I face a struggle, I'm like, okay, what can I take from this? Yeah. What can I grow from this? And
some things happen and a lot of things don't happen. So I mean, it's
right.
Again, it's a balance on both sides.
I mean, I was fired from my job at Starbucks because I couldn't wake up at 5 a.m. and I was late, you know, and getting fired from that job, I got a job that pays me double, but I'm serving, and that's something I was afraid to do, was to serve alcohol to people and be in the restaurant scene again. And like, you know, the people who don't get it, they're like, I'm sure you can handle it. Like, just have a drink, like, and whatever. And I'm like, but you don't understand. Because then I'm going to start, like, sniffing around for cocaine in bathrooms. And, like, trying to find, and I'll find it. Because, like I said, you attract whatever you're putting out. And, like, I'll find it if I really want it. And I don't want to. And I know where to get it if I really want. And I don't want to. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to, is that I just want to live. I want to become my highest self, and my highest version of self. And I know that with substances, I can't become that. Right. And for some people, they can. And that is perfectly fine and okay, and I'm happy for them. But I just know that you can't unpickle a pickle, is what they say.
Right.
And I have been pickled, my friend.
I think that's a good place to end it.
Yep. I'm an empowered...
Become your highest self would be the best way to end it, right?
Yes, I'm an empowered pickle.
Well, that too. An empowered pickle. Become your highest self as an empowered pickle.
Yes.
But we just did 2 hours.
Awesome. And reach out if you need anything. I'm here. The musical Bri on Instagram.
Yeah, I'll link everything.
Everything. Bri Wertman on Facebook. Breezy Music. And yeah, I mean, if anyone's struggling out there, I got you. We're
going to end it. That's a good note.
It's a good note.
Yeah, I appreciate it so much, Bri.
I appreciate you. This has been a pleasure.
No problem. We'll talk to you soon, guys.
Awesome.
2 hours and 3 minutes. Longest.